Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. We continue the music theory course from beginner to advanced. Today we're going to focus on defining what a mode actually is. It's one of the most mysterious terms in music theory, but a mode, put simply, is a scale. You're like, that's it? It's just a scale? Now, the difference is people think it's different because of the way the modes that we used to create, okay? Because there's certain types of scales. So for example, if I start at C major, which is all the white notes starting from C. Remember I told you before in the scales video that you can actually play the same exact notes starting from a different point. So for example, if I play those same exact notes starting at A, or ending at A, this is called the A natural minor scale, or also known as the Aeolian mode. The way I remember it, and you got to remember a lot of this stuff is from a different language, so don't get too caught up in this way of doing it the way I do it. But the way I remember it is that A sounds like Aeolian because it starts with the letter A. Okay, so Aeolian starts with the letter A. Kind of basic, it's a very skewed, biased approach, but that's something that helps me remember the specific mode that goes with. And so again, these modes are created from a scale. So let's map this out so you can visually see. I think a horizontal view would be a little bit better, okay? Because you'll start to see how simple it is. Okay, so let's start here at C. We're gonna map all the white notes starting at C. So all the white notes starting at C to C is C major, starting at C. Now, when we start somewhere, we create the perception that that's the root tone for our specific song. So this is called a tonal center. We'll define that later. I actually have to add that to the list of terms because I'm not sure I have that in the list just yet because it might be a little advanced, but here's a good application. So a tonal center kind of helps people understand what note we're coming back to, because I'll give you the quick gist. When you go out of the keys, for example, let's say you start at C major 9, but then you start playing F minor 9 chords. We're in a different key now. We're not in C major anymore. Then you come back to C. Now that wasn't the greatest progression. I was trying to find a certain chord. But the point is, when you go outside the key and you come back, that you need help to understand where you're coming back to, and this is what's called the tonal center. So if the tonal center creates perception around where a scale starts, what if we started on a different tone but used the same exact notes? So let's copy these same exact notes, and we're just gonna start at D this time. So using the same exact notes. Now again, my way of showing you this is not how to memorize it, but this is how I remember it. Oh, forgive me there. So C, this is called the Ionian, and let's pull up that list again. So the Ionian, sounds funny. Ionian mode, okay, is whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, which is the major scale. Okay, they're the same thing. Major scale and Ionian mode are the same exact thing, just a different name. Okay, so Ionian is where we start if we're talking about C. I like to start at C because the rest of the names make more sense from C. Okay, now once we get to D, this is Dorian because it changes the way we start counting the notes. So let's show you what I'm talking about. If you start at C, using all these notes starting here, counting the scale code is whole, whole, half. Remember, whole notes are 2 notes away and a half note. A half step is 1 note away. So it's whole, whole, half. I can kind of visually see this in the DAW because there's a gap. Wherever there's a gap, that's a whole step. Wherever there's not a gap, that's a half step. So it's an easier way to count. So it's whole, whole, half. Okay. Then we have whole, 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 half. That's the major scale or the Ionian mode. You don't need to memorize this stuff. That's why we have chord codes and scale codes and mode codes for you. So you don't memorize this stuff. A lot of players just have to memorize it because of the finger positionings. And once they get that memorized, then they can play a lot faster. So as a composer, you don't need to, unless you're playing in real time, you don't need to memorize this stuff. Okay, now using the same exact notes, all the white notes, but starting at D, it gives us a different rhythm. It gives us a different sequence. So now we have whole, half, whole, 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 half, whole. okay, which gives us our Dorian mode. Okay, so that's called a mode, or the Dorian scale. Now, this is a little bit close to the minor scale, but it's not the minor scale because of the position between the whole and the half here at the end. You'll understand patterns after a while. The Aeolian is the minor scale because of the WH in the beginning. So it's WHW, WHWW. So it's two WHs back to back. And that's how you know it's a minor scale. Okay, we're not going to get into everything about everything just yet, but let's continue. So that's the Dorian. Okay, so let's just triple check to make sure we're actually correct. So it's, again, whole, half, whole. Okay, it's matching so far. Whole, whole, half, whole. That's called the Dorian's mode, almost at scale. I'm going to say scale from now on because you need to understand that this stuff, it's a scale. Okay, and the mode is also known to be something you play melodies with or harmonies with. Okay, which is basically a scale as well. So starting at E, let's count up all the white notes. Now, I'll go into this later because we have a whole section called scales, and I need to add where we go over the modes versus the scales. We did this. Okay, good. We'll have a video on modes specifically. Okay, because I don't want to make this a 50-minute video. But now starting at E, we have, again, let's go back to our codes. We have half whole. So this is Phrygian, half whole. It's the only one that starts with an H here, half whole. So it's half whole, whole, and then whole, half, whole, whole. Okay, we have the Phrygian. So the way I memorize that is, again, I goes with C, Ionian, and then Dorian starts with the letter D too. And then E, you know, I just match that in my brain with Phrygian. And then you can go on. And once we get into the whole video about modes, you get to the letter A, and it's the beginning of Aeolian. And yeah, the other ones are kind of memorization based. Okay, so that's all I'm going to tell you for now. I don't want to overwhelm you with information, but that's what a mode is. It's just a scale. So don't overwhelm yourself with all this stuff. It's just a scale. They were from a different time period, and I think that's why they separated them out specifically. Okay, so thank you for watching. It's Game from BusyWorksBeats.com. And you will get the mode code chart for free in the downloads.